episode 28,
Special edition.
special edition today because we're actually, if you were watching during the lockdown, antivirus edition, we had a trio of devices. We're back to that. Today we're doing a special episode because we have a BJJ Fanatics group live as well. So we're live on YouTube and we're live on Facebook. Guys, if you're listening in on Facebook, just let us know how's the audio and video. Hopefully everything's cool. So the guys that are watching on YouTube, and we used to do live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We've migrated to YouTube. It's a weekly show, same time. It's a troubleshooting show. So basically what we're doing is we actually troubleshooting specific BJJ problems, be it strategic, be it tactical, be it training wise, be it or specific technique problems. And we've migrated to YouTube just because the video and audio tends to be a little bit better. But we're going to try to make this a regular feature for the BJJ Fanatics, to do it once a month, to do a combined show. So start asking questions, guys. We always pick one topic to start with from the questions or issues we've been working on the last week or two, or the questions we received. So I actually have a very important sort of point to make. And as if you've watched any of my videos, or you know that UDE GATAME, upside down armbar, razor armbar, whatever you want to call it, is one of my favorite weapons. And as I use it against high-level black belts, you know, including Enrique, guys start to counter it, and the counters constantly change depending on how I make adjustments. So I'm going to go over two things, and then I want to have you guys guess what is the difference between the two. But the point that I'm trying to make is a very big point for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training. By the way, we alternate weekly gi and no gi. We're prepared to do no gi if we have to go there, but this week is a gi episode. So I attack UDE GATAME, Enrique counters. Okay. Can somebody that's watching tell me what the difference between those two was? While we're waiting for a response, I'll give you a hint. He defended.
You have a blue gi.
I know.
Yeah. There's a difference.
Guys, we try to have fun, but sometimes I want to hit Enrique over the head. So the difference is, in the first one, Enrique defended by burying his hand under.
But you're telling them the answer. That's not.
I know. We're not going to wait. We're not going to wait all episode to give an answer. So in the first instance, he defended by burying his hand under my leg. No, I'm sorry, under his leg. When he buries under his own leg, I can literally force that arm to come out by bringing the leg over. So if he defends by burying it under his own leg, what I'll do is I'll kick forward. So even if he's controlling that leg, I kick it forward, I bring it to the other side, and use my legs to straighten it out from here. A lot of times, high-level guys will roll, and I wind up in a straight armbar. In the second scenario, he was burying his hand under my leg. So if I try to do that, I will actually let him escape. So when that happens, so when I see him burying it under his own leg, under my leg, I need to just basically start the rotation with the UDE GATAME and go what I would call almost like a reverse tap, target plata. So this is kind of a high-level scenario, both of them, where you have a very sophisticated opponent defending different ways, and you need to choose the right tool for the job. This is a very important concept in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This is one of the reasons why you need to learn proper technique, because even though if on the surface it looks like he's defending the same way, he's not. And if you give the wrong counter to his defense, you're going to lose it. So the point that I'm trying to make is try to be very technical and very precise with your technique, be it on the offense, be it on the defense, because literally centimeters or inches make a dramatical difference between you getting a submission or a sweep or...
It's from GM Baseball. He's asking, how do you keep big and strong guys from turning into you before you secure the arm triangle?
Oh, guys, this is a very good topic. This is another pet peeve of mine. So arm triangle, I do it differently from a lot of other guys out there. Okay? There's different approaches to it, but I can tell you, once I lock up, people don't escape. So when you go on Instagram or you go on Facebook, guys put up video, an amazing escape. we don't name names. So go, just escape. You know, like, yeah, just roll. Just, yeah. Yeah. This is the escape. Okay? Oh, are we going there? Guys, this is why I have to have my wrist taped up. Because Enrique, when we train, he constantly tries to cowhand me. Doesn't work, only kind of pisses me off.
You have both taped.
I
I think
know,
they
that's-
worked.
So, if you look at that escape, let's do it again. So, you know, guys, show go. Look, you should have stretched. Well, this one becomes a scramble. Depends who wins that. It looks beautiful, and it's a beautiful thing when you're under attack and about to put, you know, or when you're attacking, you're about to put the guy away, and suddenly he turns the tables completely on you. The way I do it, you're not going to get it done. When is the last time you escaped like that?
In Ecuador.
So a long time ago. Guys, yes, escapes works. It's the same thing with triangles. Guys, show these beautiful... What, Mike, what does this mean? Check in the direction of the wind? I know, I'm getting a long-winded way there. So, first of all, when I get there, so I'm using my hips to make sure, and my head to make sure that he's turned away from me. If he turns to me, I immediately go knee on the belly. So if you start to feel like you lost that window of opportunity where the guy starts to turn to you, he's successfully defending an arm triangle. So anytime I feel like he's no longer flat or slightly turned away, at the initial start of the technique, I want him slightly turned away. Okay? If I go for an arm triangle, one of my favorite, let's just do a setup, is one of my favorite ways is to do this off a failed omoplata, and here I am. So notice how I'm using my left leg to make sure that he does not turn that much to me. And I'm using my hips, I'm leaning in his direction. From here, I just basically make the arm adjustment, and I'm gonna go over that again. And then I melt into the ground. Enrique, you wanna try that escape?
No.
Go ahead. It's for the... It's not happening. Why? Because I do it well. There's a massive difference, guys, and a lot of times when you look at videos, even though, you know, it's good, a lot of the videos are out from, you know, from legitimate black belts, and it looks great in that video, but does it really work? Anything that I do, I tend to test out against him, Mike, who's a former professional MMA fighter. He retired. So you need to make sure that whatever technique you start to adopt, make sure it works. Test it out. You know, over time, you test it out against more and more resisting opponents. So we're going to look at this again. I'm going to do the other side so you guys can see what I'm doing and how I'm preventing him from turning. Again, anytime if I feel that once he's turning right now. From here, if I sort of almost sit out, I can neutralize that. But once he turns to a certain position, I just drive the knee across. Yeah. So from here, anytime I feel he's gone past a tiny tilt, knee on the belly, because you're vulnerable potentially to the guy taking your back. So make sure that if you start to feel the tilt, knee across the belly and mount. Okay? But let's look at it again. I'm going to do it from the omoplatas. It's one of my favorite setups again. So as he's rolling out, notice that what I'm doing is, again, in this case, it's my right leg because we're on the opposite side. I'm preventing him from turning to me. This is very important. Then I use almost like a baseball slide. I lift up his head to make sure my forearm needs to be flush with the floor. And then I just melt. I'm not going to put it on, and we could try to escape that over your shoulder again. Like, yeah. It's not happening. So I hope I answered your question. So your body positioning is what basically keeps him either flat or slightly tilted away from you. If that should go wrong, meaning that he starts to tilt towards you, knee across the belly, mount, immediately arms up and continue your attack. At that point, armbar, you have some chokes, but usually, or triangles. You can triangle both arms. You can, armbar, whatever, your preference from the mount is. Mike, what do we got?
He followed up with, that totally makes sense. Yes, you have answered my question. Thank you.
All right.
And before we go to the next question, just a reminder to everybody watching on Facebook, if you have any questions, any techniques you're working on, you can ask them live, and then that's the question that will be answered as well.
So guys, start asking. I don't know if Ryan Ford is on listening. I hope the audio is good, because if they can't hear us, we have a problem. Again, this is the first time we're doing sort of the collaboration with the BJJ Fanatics to do it simultaneous. And like I said, we'd like to make this a regular feature. Guys, start asking away. We will cover some questions that we receive. Usually we start with that, and then usually the live questions take priority. So if you have any problems, things that are not working for you, start asking away.
And the next question that we had, this is from John Grappler. He's asking, what do you think of octopus guard for MMA context as a get the hell out of there from half guard?
I don't even know what that means. What's an octopus guard? You're going to have to be a little more specific, because people have crazy names for different things. Sometimes, a lot of times, for example, like the, Nogi Ezekiel, Diesel Squeezel, I like to call it Iron Fist, you have
ninja choke.
Shadow Escape and all this other stuff. So you have to be a little more specific, a little more descriptive. Because, sometimes the terminology varies between various schools, various tribes.
While we wait for him to clarify, another question is from Engsberg. He's asking, I know it's gi today, but what grips from open guard with feet on the hips do you prefer to off-balance bigger opponents that are sweaty? I could only heist up to snap down a couple of times before he catches on.
We do no-gi temporarily. So, is he on his knees or is he standing? It's easier when they're on their knees.
You said big sweaty opponents.
I'm assuming he's on his knees.
Because he's heisting up.
All right.
He wouldn't heist up if I'm too far.
So, anytime that I have a bigger guy and I'm attacking from my guard, especially from you're not that much bigger than I am. Oh, shit. So, usually when I have somebody that's got a good base, and usually when they're on their knees, usually they have a better base. So I will attack, generally speaking, I'm looking for some sort of arm control to at least off balance him so I can start going into the offensive mode. My preferred guard is if I can go, but you have to make sure. So I want to go to split guard. So anytime I go to split guard, I can, by turning, his arm will slip. If I'm sitting square in front of him, I can't put him in split guard. It's he's bracing against my stomach, so it's not going to happen for me. But if I turn to the side, I can always get that arm up. And this is my, now, Enrique is not sweaty, but I'm just going to, like, it's very difficult for him to escape from here. So a lot of times, if you sort of just grip fighting and you can't get things going on, what I'll do is I'll just pop up. This is very important when you're going against a bigger guy, and especially when it's a dynamic, very dynamic scenario where he's sweaty, but he's also grip fighting, meaning that he's not letting you get a good grip. Pop up. One of two things is going to happen. So, I'm pop up. Now, either he tries to drive back forward, and now I have the engagement that I'm looking for. You know, it could take a lot of different forms. But I'm looking for some sort of meaningful engagement where I can attack his arm or his head. Usually, if a bigger guy is on his knees, I have a hard time butterfly guard lifting him off to enter the legs. And usually that's why he's sitting down, to make sure that he's got good base, he's heavy. So it's hard for me to lift him and get underneath him. And frankly, I don't necessarily want to be under, you know, under 250 pound or 300 pound guy. So I will generally, you got to make sure they're engaged, not just engaged, but people are strong here. So if Enrique has a good discipline, sort of, yeah, he's strong. So if he gets an underhook here, he might be able to control me. So one of the things that I tend to do is when I'm in this position with big guy, I keep at least 1 foot on the hip. Okay? So that allows me that should that start to happen, so he starts to get, and I need to slide out, I can always slide out. Okay? But so that's a more defensive strategy. Now from an offensive standpoint, what I'm looking to do is once this is happening and I'm starting to get jammed up, I'm going to push with my right leg, and then I'm going to pop up. From here, again, one of two things is going to happen. If I can snap his head down, I can attack now. If he's postured up, just keep a good base. So just be like a patty cake. We're playing patty cake. So I'm having a hard time trying to. One of two things is going to happen now. I either manage to get him down, and now I start to fight from the top. Or this is probably the most likely scenario with a big guy. So again, I'm playing patty cake. I push. As I'm going down, I'm already looking for isolation. Be it head, be it arm, any sort of isolation on the upper body. So, you know, there's the concept of wrestling up is very important in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in a way, because people tend to play a very one-dimensional game, basically just pulling the guy into their guard. I don't really care. You got to play a three-dimensional game. So it's not just pulling towards you. You got to go the other way. Up and down, side to side. So make sure you play a three-dimensional game when you have somebody in your guard. Up and down, back and forth, left to right. But most importantly, when you pop up, you're creating some space and you're making that guy engage and start to extend. That's what I want. I attack right off that. If sometimes the guy just gets a little scared of that, I go right into him. Get on top. Big guys usually, when you get on top, if they have skill, they will going to put you in guard. They're going to try to make something happen. A lot of times, a small guy gets on top. The big guy's like, "What the hell just happened?" And they start to, sometimes try to bench press you, or gives you an opportunity to attack. And can we go back to gi now? Since this is theoretically a gi episode.
He followed up with, "Thank you, Fox."
My pleasure. This is what we're here for.
And one last thing before we close out. It was clarified that octopus guard is half guard with both people facing each other's hips. like a hip switch.
Oh. So what was the question on that before?
How do you do it in MMA?
The question was, what do you think of about that guard for MMA context as a means to get the hell out from half guard?
So when I see this, see how I'm starting to.
It's MMA.
I know it is. So what I'm looking to do is kind of threaten. Now I will, generally speaking. So when that happens, there's a couple different ways you can go, and you have to sort of figure out where. I'm assuming we're talking about the guy on the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple of different ways to go, and you need to figure out which way is he has lack of balance. So when he sits out, so sometimes I will threaten to come up. He has to make adjustments, which now allows me to come out the other side. Okay? So I will kind of push into him to off balance him. I know it's going to be almost impossible to bring him over. It's not impossible, but it's hard. But he has to rebase. That rebase now allows me to slip out the back and attack the back. Let's look at it one more time. So I start to almost threaten to go put him on his back. Sometimes it works. But as he's coming out, I'm going to slip out the other side and attack the back. Okay? Now, in the very first one, Enrique was countering both directions. So what I did is just kind of feel where the imbalance is, and then I just kind of inverted and rolled to wind up on top. So again, as you know, jiu-jitsu is problem solving, art, yes. So as we went, he threatened, he popped up, and if that's the case, I'm just going to invert and come out the other side. Why are you laughing? This is no funny matter. And now in good shape. This is MMA, right? You did say it was MMA.
But you said jiu-jitsu, you changed the context.
All right. I got a TKO on this one. So, again,
You cheated though. You said we were doing jiu-jitsu.
no, you said MMA.
No, but
You
So-
switched it.
The most important aspect of jiu-jitsu, especially at the higher level, is you try to, we talked about this last week's episode, to exaggerate your opponent's movement or imbalance. Because just think about, once like a tall structure starts to swing from side to side, usually it just starts to go, like, if you exaggerate that, then that swing back is bigger. So that gives you an opportunity to attack. It may not be the original direction. It might be the other direction as he's compensating. So you have to pay attention to him as he's compensating to that imbalance to attack his compensation. I don't know if that makes sense.
And John said, I do like the back take from there a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a threat over there. But initially, my initial response is going to be try to wobble him to the side that he's leading. So this is the very first aspect. So again, so I try, so his base is on this side. So I try to roll up on my shoulder. And sometimes you can actually get this done, but now see he's already, oh. So it does create a bit of a scramble, but again, when you're in trouble, and in MMA, generally speaking, when you're on the bottom, you're in trouble, creating a scramble is a good thing. So it gives you the possibility of escape.
And one last thing was from JCB Paris. He said, please, Fox, don't break Enrique. We need him for the next episode.
Don't
Thank
worry.
you.
Don't
Thank
worry.
you.
I
On my
have.
good list.
I have a backup plan. we have Enrique sub number 1 and Enrique sub number 2 waiting in the wings. And guys, just like that, we're out of time. So just to recap, we're going to try to do this on a regular basis for BJJ fanatics. We're doing a simultaneous troubleshooting both on YouTube, which is Silver Fox BJJ YouTube channel. That is weekly. We do that weekly, and then once a month we're going to try to make sure that we do both. Guys, don't hesitate to ask questions. Usually when there's questions, I will screenshot them, and then we'll try to address it at least as a first one, and then live questions take priority. And I look forward to seeing you the next time.
And like, share, subscribe. Tell your
Yeah,
training
that too.
partners.
Buy my BJJ Fanatics DVDs.
Yes.